And a different kind of pitching going on in Galesburg, cleaning up after the president. Next on the Nightside.
News Channel 8, your 24-hour news source. Now, live from the News Channel 8 studio, this is News Channel 8 Nightside.
And good evening, I'm Jim King. Andrea has the night off, and thank you for joining us tonight. It was a big day in both Iowa and Illinois. Two big speeches, two big issues. While President Clinton pitched his middle-class Bill of Rights in Galesburg today, Iowa Governor Terry Branstad renewed a Republican issue, the death penalty. And it's tonight's top story on the Nightside. It was a controversial promise in the Iowa governor's race, and now it's at the top of the Republican agenda. In his State of the State address today, Governor Branstad vows for the first time in decades, Iowa will have a death penalty. Matt Hamill is in our newsroom with details, and Matt, some people are going to say they've heard that tune before.
We sure have, Jim, but the governor says the November landslide makes this not just a mandate, but an order. And with the kind of crimes we've seen around here, he says voters won't wait any longer. They are crimes so heinous, most of us could only shake our heads in disbelief. Jennifer Lewis raped, strangled, and set on fire in Davenport. Anna Marie Emery raped and stabbed 20 times in Lee County. And they are the crimes now telling Terry Branstad that some murderers deserve.
Spent almost 6 hours in our area and left quite an impression. The president's stop began here in the Quad Cities as Air Force One lumbered in shortly before 10:30 this morning, with a crowd on hand to see as much as the Secret Service would allow of our chief executive, and a living history lesson for the fifth graders of Moline's Horace Mann School.
I've only seen one of the presidents when I went to Washington, D.C., so it's real fun. He barely ever comes to Quad Cities.
He's an important person in our government and in the United States.
He's a neat man.
A heavy fog this morning prevented the president from taking a helicopter to Galesburg. Instead, it was a motorcade that put him only a few minutes behind schedule. His first Galesburg appearance was at the Carl Sandburg Community College for a roundtable discussion with 20 representatives of business, education, and the job training grant program at the college, a program the president thinks a great deal of. The discussion was behind closed doors with just a few invited guests and closed off to the media. About an hour later, it was off to the college gym in his first public appearance at his major address, a middle-class Bill of Rights. Speaking of keeping the American dream alive and promoting a plan to offer vouchers to workers seeking retraining in a changing high-tech world. His promise?
To make sure that everybody who wants to do the right thing has a chance to make that leap into the economy of the future and succeed. That must be the mission of the United States in these last 5 years of this century.
The president then headed over to the high school where a reception was held for him in the Silver Streak Gym and where he was greeted by a thunderous ovation from a standing room only crowd. It was indeed a reception that impressed the chief executive, who was even glad that the fog caused a change in his travel plans.
I must say, when I landed at the airport and they told me that I couldn't take the helicopter to Galesburg, I'd have to drive, I was actually kind of happy because I got to drive across the farmland and I looked at all the land and it kind of made me feel, I liked it. It made me feel right at home.
It was a Quad City area welcome and reception that the president carried with him when Air Force One left the Quad City airport around 4 this evening and carried the president back to the White House tonight. And the president was back in the White House tonight, just in time for dinner. And in homes around Galesburg, relief and fatigue tonight. You can almost hear a happy sigh of relief. In fact, at Carl Sandburg College, as the presidential limo pulled out of sight, things got very quiet very quickly, but stayed busy throughout the day, except that the focus had shifted. By mid-afternoon, reporters were filing their final stories on the visit of Bill Clinton, and Sandburg's president was hashing over the day with his staff, happy to talk about how President Clinton used his desk and enjoyed his gifts, a red, white, and blue jogging suit, and various Sandburg memorabilia.
I don't think we could have done it any better. I'm extremely pleased. I'm going to sleep really well tonight.
We also saw the maintenance staff being debriefed by the Secret Service on the disabling of the gym, the cafeteria people washing dishes. The rest won't be long, though. Classes at Carl Sandburg were delayed, but the start for the new term gets underway tomorrow. Well, hate crimes, discrimination, civil rights.